Yes, hello. We would like to sincerely welcome you to Aion Tuna, the first public unveiling of Aion 2. Oh, Aion Night, not Aion Tuna. This auto translation is going to be bad. We'll see. Nice to meet you. Yes. I am in Seoul in charge of Aion 2 business and hosting today's broadcast. Nice to meet you. And there are two people next to me. Could you please introduce yourselves? Yes, hello. This is Nam Kim in charge of development for Aion 2. And yes, hello. This is Seong Wook in charge of Aion 2 development. It is so meaningful and honorable to start Aion 2 with all of you today. Yes. Yes. I know many of you have been waiting for this moment today. We have also prepared with excitement, and I am a little nervous about being here now. Could you tell us your thoughts on the first podcast? Oh, yes, first of all, I am shaking a lot since this is a live broadcast. I am really worried that something might go wrong, but hope all of you look at it favorably for now. Yes. First of all, I've been developing in the lab for a while now, and this is the first time I am here showing it to you users, so I'm a bit nervous. How are you, sir? This is my first time broadcasting, so I'm really nervous. Even more nervous because I think this is the first time I'm opening Aion 2 with everyone who loves the Aion IP. I hope you look forward to the diverse experiences that Aion 2 will create starting today. Yes, there are posts saying that the chat room is not being recorded, but this is a live broadcast. Yes. It was about 2 weeks ago for us. We reorganized the brand page and opened the official Aion 2 homepage, which has been completely revamped and redesigned. Until then, our Aion 2 project was somewhat shrouded in mystery since it was released on the homepage. I think many people have been curious about what the differences are with the original author, so today I would like to share for the first time those stories about how that been public until now. And this is Aion 2 tonight because it will not end with just one broadcast tonight, but will continue until the launch. We will show you things you are curious about one by one and serve as a reference for communication. As for your interest and anticipation for talking about Aion 2, I think I can't move on without talking about the original Aion. Aion was first released to the world in 2008. It was a meaningful title in the history of MMORPG in which many people participated, became friends and lovers in the game, and relationships have continued to this day. The original IP was very meaningful not only to users but also to us at NC, so this is a project that our company has protected with more affection and responsibility. But at that time, no matter how much we tried, there were technical and expression limitations. So we couldn't really express everything we wanted to create at that time. Everyone has at least one or two things in their heart that they wish they had. So about after 10 years or maybe 10 years or so, we decided that it was now time for us to realize many of the things that we couldn't do when we first created Aion. So now we set our sights on making Aion 2 not just a sequel, but the definitive version of Aion 2, or the original desires and vision back then. In fact, from the beginning of the project, we introduced language Unreal Engine 5. Next generation graphics technology to the game. In fact, Far Cry Engine. It was Far Cry Engine. Set a goal to implement the best case to show the MMORPG market in the present era, which very soon is revealed in the public through and the result of efforts. So I think it has great meaning. Yes, yes. I'm not sure if I'm conveying the message well because I speak a bit too quickly. That was a little fast. Guess I have to talk a little more slowly from now on. Although we gave a brief explanation in advance, we hope that we were able to convey well the mindset with each prepare for Aion 2 project. And now this is the question that is being asked for the most in the chat window. We would like to show you we are making our game, which we were most curious about. Yes, that's a given. The footage being released from now on is not the trailer for the production, but footage of an actual gameplay build. So now I've selected scenes that can most intuitively show the main content of Aion 2 and put them into a video. I'm really nervous. But then let's go and watch the video we prepared.
네. 지금 이 자리에서 여러분들이랑 함께 보고 다양한 댓글이 실시간 올라오는 거 보니까
Yes, it
좀
feels a bit
감회가
new to see
새로운데요.
everyone here now, see
우선
various
조금
comments coming up
말씀드리고
in real
싶은 게
time. First of
시네마틱
all, I
영상
would
아니냐
like to
CG
say that this is a
아니냐라고 하는데 실제
cinematic
인게임에서
video,
촬영한
but it
영상이고요.
actually
저희가 그
is
플레이하는
shot
걸
in
UI를
game.
제거하고 그냥 편집으로만 붙여놓은 실제 게임 화면이라고 생각해 주시면 될 것 같아요.
But it's an actual game screen with the UI removed. Yes. What do you think of it, sir? Oh, actually, yes, I'm looking at this. Now, I remember the first day of the original Aion. At that time, we didn't broadcast like we do now, but we did. And so you guys playing the game or watching it on the bulletin board? Oh, I remember that feeling and so nervous. But I think I'm even more nervous now. I'm seeing the comments coming right now, but they're getting so fast I can't even read them properly. Yes, there's a lot of talk about the mobile devices and what to ride next. But we have a lot of content prepared later, so let's get into more detail there. Yes. And I think there's a lot of talk about the Temple of Fire too. Oh yes. See, there's a lot of talk about the Temple of Fire now, and there's some talk about mobile. Yes. There is a dungeon that reminds me of the Temple of Fire. There are a lot of conversations out there. That was also Rotan. Was also called. Ooh. Later in the video, I'm also thankful that there are still some people who remember those names. Yeah. Chromie still remembers you. I love Chromie. And also, as we show the flight, there's also a lot of talk about flights and wings, but I think there's also original Aion flight and air combat were the biggest attractions. Jangwoo, I think it would be good if you can explain how the thought would go. Yes, I can't help you, but about the director again. In fact, it was the director that we first introduced a game that included flight. But when I first created it, I challenged myself with the thought of whether this would actually be possible. So at the time, as I said at the beginning, there were various technical limitations, so flying was inevitably limited. It was fun, but there were only a few places you could do things, and the Abyss was probably the main space for flying. In fact, even at that time, we had the idea that we would someday create a world where we could fly somewhere. So this time in Aion 2, we worked hard to make it possible to fly freely in all areas. Oh, that's awesome. That's going to be really cool. I think that one of the peaks of the completed Aion that I talked about earlier, Aion 2, where we can fly freely anywhere. Yes, how did the Lord prepare for the flying content? Oh yes, we were developing the original. I was one of the people in the development studio who strongly insisted that the entire region should now have free flight. But then I gave up on the dream after getting scolded by Mr. Seong. Yes. Now that I have a PD, I have started developing a game with the keynote and is all visible areas, not just rain. Yes. As the two people mentioned before,
이걸 어떻게 현대적으로 계승하고 발전시킬 수 있었을지에 대한 고민부터 만들어진 것 같습니다.
Seems like it was created from the idea not simply making a game, but it was rather thinking about how to developing it while maintaining some of the original sentiment. Part we focused on most was setting clear standards for how we should improve the original Aion, what parts we should develop.
그래서 아이온 2가 단순한 이제 후속작이 아니라 그 원작의 완전판이 되었으면 한다라는 생각에 시작된 프로젝트.
So the project started with the idea that Aion 2 would not be a simple sequel, but a complete reinterpretation of the original. I think it would be better that it would be introduced in the future broadcasts why the systems were designed the way they were. Yes, now let's take a look at the three aspects of Aion 2 was created and how it started and was created. Yes, it has the same for PC, but now the Aion Tower that God had created was destroyed, and because of that, the world was in chaos. Now we've made it with things that happened in the world 200 years from now, a long time ago, during those 200 years. Aether has become extremely scarce in Atreia, and the story deals with the struggles of the Devas who use the power of the Aether to survive. I remember flying around the town, flying to get in the original Aion, but I thought it would get boring if I kept talking about the world, so I'll end up in a little short. After the broadcast, you can check out how the story unfolds in details for each race's perspective on our brand page.
방송이 끝나고 홈페이지 한번 접속해 주시면은 많은
If you visit the
내용들이
homepage after the
새롭게 올라와
broadcast is
있을
over,
것
there will
같습니다.
probably be a lot of new content.
예,
Yes, yes, yes.
그리고
In-
또 게시판에 올라왔던
I've-
분들이나 이제 주변 분들이나 사람들이 말씀하시는 건 들어봤는데 그
We post
아이온
bulletin board of the
2에서도
people around me, and I
원작처럼
think
이제
we made various
천족과
speculations
마족이
from whether Aion 2 will be from
아니면
each
이제 하나의
future
종족으로
Elios or as many like the
기술전
original,
같은
whether it
것에 대해서
be single
여러 가지
race with
추측이
guild
있었던
wars.
것 같아요.
네. 그런 추측이 생겼던 이유가
The reason why we
제가
said speculation
예전에
arose is
한번
because
아이온
we had
2를
previously
실행한
introduced Aion
경험들을
2
한번
once
적은
7 or 8
있었어요.
years
그
ago.
당시에
They
이제
did.
천족과
It was like on the mobile.
마족이 있다라고
This time there were
그것
no
때문에
more
많은
celestial
댓글들이
demons. All because of
달렸다던가
that,
이런 쪽에서
there were a
천족과
lot
마족이
of comments,
없다라는 보고가
and
있다라는 분이 좀 있었던 것
I
같아요.
think there were a lot of people
그때는
who knew
완전
celestials
다른
of
거죠.
demons who said there were. I was completely different back then. Yes, completely different back then. Yes, that was right. And the fact that we started the game over again,
천족
we
그리고 마족, 용족 이 세 종족이 중심이 되는 것은 사실 그 아이온의 아이덴티티라고
thought that the
생각을
three
했어요.
races of Helios,
이번에도
Modi,
역시 세
and
종족이 모두
dragons
등장합니다.
were that time again all three races appeared. Yes, I'm talking about that a bit. But I think a lot of the people are really curious whether the fact that it's coming up like this because
네.
예,
이거는
아닙니다.
I'm a
설명을 하고 가죠.
pig?
아닌
Yes, let
건
me
빨리
explain
설명을
this.
드리고 이 오해를 좀 종식시키고
I think
가는
so. Let
게
me
좋을 것
pick.
같아요.
예, 날개
I think that would be better
뽑기
quickly explain that. It isn't really clear at the things of
일단은
misunderstanding.
날개
Yes, that this is
뽑기
not the
아닙니다.
wing
아니에요.
plucking.
진심은 아니고요.
But first of all,
이
that is
부분은
not plucking our
나중에
wings.
계속
No,
얘기하고
I'm not
저희가
serious. We'll continue talking about this later and
하겠습니다.
move forward while
다시 또
communicating.
돌아온다면 이제
We'll get back
원작이
in a bit, but I think that we okay to think about the
원작의
original
세계관의
works, division of
중심 축이었기
as the
때문에
division
이걸
keeps
흔들리지
it
않기
since there
위한
were central
하나의
acts of the original
결정이라고
works.
생각하면 될 것 같습니다.
맞습니다.
You're right. Yes.
아이온은
In fact,
사실
the fact that
천마가
that
이렇게 대립해서
Schumann
알비온을
appear in
한 것은
conflict in
아이온은
Aion.
다른 게임과 또 구분하는
I think they're talking
굉장히
about
큰
Aion
특징이었기 때문에
characters. It's a huge feature to
저희가 이
differentiate Aion from the original game. So when we reset this
프로그램을
project,
리셋하면서
the
최초로
first decision we
한
made
결정이
was
천마
that
그리고 알베아를 무조건 살려야 된다고요.
kept alive no matter
다만
what.
아이온2에서 이제
However,
천마가
in
말하고
Aion, now that we're talking about heaven and earth and
천족과 마족, 선과
immersed,
뭐 이런
it's
식으로
heavenly
약간
and demonic
이쪽은
tribes,
나쁘고
good and
이쪽은
evil
좋고 이런
tribes,
식으로
and
좀
so on, won't be divided in such a way
구분되지
that the
않기를
side is
바랬어요.
bad and the side is good.
천마는 이제
So the intention
각각의
was not to
어,
clearly distinguish between good and
생활 습관이나
evil, but rather the fact person
분위기나
has
가치관 차이가
different
있으면
lifestyle moods and
선한 감정을
values.
명확히
I like that. I
표현하는
like that a
그런
lot.
의도는 아니었습니다.
네,
Yes,
이렇듯
it's like
지금 화면에도 잘
this. As you can see on the screen
보이고
now,
있지만
the
이제 천족과
celestials
마족이
and
구속해
demons
생기지가
are no
않았어요.
longer
옛날처럼.
look scary. It's not as chaotic as it used to
좀
be.
예쁠 수 있다라는 걸 보여준 것 같아요.
I think it'd
그쵸.
be
그
pretty cool that the original
천족하고
ones, the decisions I made
되살리면서
while
제가
reviving the
했던
celestials. I hope I can still make the
결정
Asmos purple,
그
like purple skin and red eyes. Would be
원작의
cool.
마족은
The
외형적인 좀
original demons as a hot
아이덴티티가
strong
그
external
그러다
identity.
보니까
As I think
그로
about
인한
it, that
불호가
there
좀
were
있었고
some negative effects because of
RVR
it, and
중심
since
게임이다
it
보니까 이제 그로
is
인해서
AR
종족
centered,
불균형이
I thought it would be
발생하는 좀
my
시발점이
sorry
아니었나
point for some
생각이
Rachel's
들었거든요.
RVR
그래서
race
저희는 그
race v
외형적인
race.
특징으로
So
좀 선호도가 갈리지 않게 하기 위해서
in order to avoid the
마족이라고 좀
polarizing effects of the external features, we tried to change the design of the demon race and slightly scary, sharp, and caught ones to make them look pretty.
네, 또 설명을 드리는 동안 모바일
Yes, while explaining, I think you're probably
PC
curious
게임이냐
whether it's a mobile game or a PC
궁금하신 것
game.
같은데
This
이
information
정보는
is
저희가 꽤
something
오래전부터
we've been releasing for
냈던
quite
정보예요.
some time. Yes,
성우님이
that's
한번
right.
대답을 해주시죠.
Seeing will please answer the
뒤에
question.
나오잖아요.
It comes later. Yes, because I was curious. Yes. To be
정확하게
exact,
말하면
it
PC 퍼스트를 추구하는 게임이고요.
is a game that
모바일
pursues
게임도
PC first,
있습니다. 이렇게
but there is
자세한
also a
건
mobile
다시 뒤에
build.
남준님이 한번
It's like
설명해
this,
주시죠.
but the main protagonist will actually explain this. Yes, there'll be things that I'll be curious about later since our English homepages has opened. We read a lot of comments and compiled what you were curious about. Oh yeah, I saw that was on my way up, and it says that the reddening eyes during the demon battle are also an identity, and that the main implemented as well, down to the details. Yes. Now let's move on and look at
더 내용을 살펴보도록
more content.
하겠습니다.
Let me explain how.
앞에서 얘기해드렸던 이제 천족과
The
마족이 살아 숨쉬는
World of
모바일
Aion 2 and a
아이온
living,
2
breathing
월드가
space for the
어떻게
celestials and demons
만들어졌는지
that I mentioned
어떻게
earlier was
개발했는지
created
설명을
and
좀
developed.
드리도록 하겠습니다.
그 이번 아이온2는
This time, Aion will of course be based on the original worldview, and as you know, each of the natural enemies and demons will now have an independent region and narratives from the point in
그
time.
범위는
The
이제
scope is
저희
now
아이온1의 단순 확장을 넘어서
beyond the single expansion of Aion, and in fact, we are developing it while listening to the projection of my fellow developers at making the game 2-ball.
수명을 들으면서 개발하고 있었습니다.
예를 들어서
That's right. For
뭐
example,
천족은
the
이제
Celestials
포에타,
have Poeta,
벨테넨, 그리고
Vertaren,
마족은
Altnan,
이스라엘의
and the
알티가르드.
demons have
이렇게
Ixgiel,
원작에서 기억하시는
Altgard, and their
대표적인
representative regions
지역들이 다
remember the
등장하고요.
from the original work. So now, anyway, the region separation of the tribes was natural, but now in the existing Aion, we're all the same server. So once a balance was broken, it would not be reversed. So to compensate for this, we separate the servers for the Celestials and the Demons. So while doing that separation, we will also change the matching periodically. So rather than creating an imbalance, we try to create a more fun.
예, 그래서 사실 이걸 만드는데 굉장히 많은 제작
Yeah, so actually a lot of production time and effort from the development team went into making this. I think it would be good if you could look forward to it a bit more. Yes, I want to make it like that, even if I meant investing a lot more manpower. Well, if you look at the PC era, the land was a bit small, so the flight was short and places you could go were limited. So in order to make the flight more enjoyable, the land also became larger. The land is now about 36 times larger than the original, and as we moved around and looked at it, we often thought that this would be bad if only the land became larger, so we filled the vast land with a lot of content all over the place and also continued walking. I began to notice that the water level was also becoming more noticeable. So in the original, if you went into the water, you would die. But can swim, dive, and even fight underwater. That's awesome. So that's the 6th round. Yes, since everything is now playable everywhere. We put a lot of effort into creating completely new, much more advanced Aion 2 rather than remaster original. Yes, it seems like the real to be Aion 2, which is not a simple remaster, but that's completely different structure, story, and environment. Next, I think that the most curious thing about Aion is whether there is customization and what customization is like. It has also a big charm in the original Aion. So we talked about customization Aion, and there are a lot of famous people, and I remember the person who said, I was really like fun to see these storytelling screenshots and stuff as he customized it. Yes, that's right. I saw a lot of back then, and I was really impressed because it wasn't just about customization, but it was also had a storytelling. So anyway, the original IP was a game that had a particularly high degree of freedom in character customization. Now we tried to further develop the fun into a more sophisticated form in Aion 2, so we tried to improve upon the original customization system while also implementing more than 200 detailed degrees of freedom. That's awesome. And that's called extrinsic transformation. Well, these people who are good at customizing are not just calling it a name, but they have also prepared various devices that you can engage in economic activities within the game. So I hope you will enjoy it, and after the lunch, yes, customization, the screen is going to blink now. As you can see, I'll take a quick look. There are a lot of these categories, and the customization is very detailed. We structured so you can fine tune each element. I think it would be good that if you could explain the process. Singu went through the develop. This is kind of a customization system. As you all know, the original IP was actually a huge hit in terms of customization in the early days. It is a challenge to do something with a specific celebrity or a character that resembles you, or something like that. As we made, those are specific celebrities, look similar. Many users are asking who is better than me, but but those who have tried, it knows due to the functional limitations. It's difficult to customize characters that you want to 100%. Now that technology has advanced, it has become much more sophisticated, so you can now freely create characters that you want to play characters that resemble your favorite characters or characters that have your own unique personalities, which you couldn't do before. Yes, and now although many people like customization, there are also people who are not very interested in customization. Now these people used to refer to figures from web bulletin boards and make them, but it wasn't that smooth. At the time, however, in Aion 2, for those people we have naturally incorporated content into the game so that you can easily customize their characters. We prepared it so that anyone can enjoy it without any burden or stress. So yes, I hope you enjoyed it a lot. I think he's talking about like pre-selection. Yes, since we were talking about customization, I think it'd be fun to invite people who are good at customizing in the original work. Like the person I mentioned earlier,
방송을 한번 꾸려보는 것도 재밌을
have a
것
broadcast
같습니다.
where we must do
그래서 이
customization.
방송을
So if you watch
보시면서
this broadcast, you'll see the
원작에서
original play
커스터마이징을
is
잘한다,
quite well
잘해보셨다,
customized
아니면은
and
평소에
well
커스터마이징에
done, or
관심
if you're interested in
많으시다는 분들은
customization, please
저희 뭐 유튜브 댓글이라던가 홈페이지에 좀 올려주시면 저희가
leave a comment
추천을
on
해서
YouTube or post it on our
방송에서
homepage,
한번
and we will
재미난
recommend it
자리로
to try and
마련하도록
create a fun
하겠습니다.
space for you to visit on the broadcast.
네, 그리고 이제
And now that I
커스터마이징을 하다 보니까 좀 많은 얘기가 있어요.
am customizing it, there's a lot of talk about. Can you do a little bit? There's also the fact that Aion is a kid, but there's also a kid that tell me other things, and at the time, yeah, kids used to do a lot of things to resist clicks. Now we can do little things, little ones too. We're also now back at some of the motions from the original work, yes. Also, some people say that the customization process is long and that it's a paid customization fee, but it's not. Yes, I'll tell you about this part again. Do I have to show my karma too? No, this one made with a lot of freedom so that the karma can be adjusted a lot. The writing is so fast that it seems like there are a lot of little kid stories. Let's move on to the next one. Next, let me explain what classes are and what classes exist after customization.
아,
Okay, for one thing, in case of Aion 2, as you may, remember it started out with 8 classes when it originally was released. We also took the same 8 classes as before. Your screen you see now is actually our in-game lobby screen. We've created characters one by one, create each class, and set up 8 groups. As you can see, the 8 classes are lined up beautifully. Yes, I think many people are familiar with the 8 classes. And the fact that there are so many classes means that each one will have a clear role in each party. I wonder if you designed it so that it would be a bit more obvious. That's right. Each of these classes have been designed to have a slightly more distinctifying style. This allows each class to clearly perform their own position within the party, and it's also designed to strengthen strategic combinations and cooperative play. Well, then actually, Jun will explain each class in more detail than I. Yes. First of all, I know you have a lot to say about, but before I get into detail, I want to say this first. As is the official secret Aion, we want to develop and improve upon the original games, class concepts. So the original now started from a WoW base anyway, and now you can control a lot of skills like playing the piano and now that's fun. We would appreciate it if you could take note of the fact that we now designed so that you can use variety of skills with a slightly smaller key while maintaining. Well, I saw that a little while ago, but it wasn't a 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. The first thing I'm going to explain now is that the sword and the shield, these 2 classes were derived from that they're mainly responsible for tanking, while the guardian being the main tank and the swordsman being the sub tank. In the case of, we plan to keep the Dean that was used attacking a wide area, keeping a town. The guardians are now being brought in through capture, and they are holding on 1 double armor, and they are leading and holding and so firmly. Yes, in the case of Guardian Star, it was one of the most important miracles in the party, and since Guardian Star has a lot of role of leading the party, I think they're meaning Templar. Guardian Star Templar, this thing Templar. Study of strategy. I do think that people who use Templar in this time will have to study a lot they did in the past. Yes, Templar. We will talk about the parts that need to be studied later, but there are some devices to help ease the burden. So I think that you can play as a class that the original authors leading with style without any burden. Yes, next I'll show you some killing and palace skills. Each of them was a class derived from the scout. Now the attacks are fast, and now you can assassinate them with stealth and things that like that a class character such as explosive dealings ability. Oh, explosive! They've been traps in characters and implementation that make them look a little bit more stylish, and also in the case of murder, oh god, or assassination, I think they're meaning, was a class that was really important to hold back. So we made it so that the control and holding back are really important in game. Yes. When I think of killing, well, I think assassination. I think of the old King Galimbo, who was really good at controlling things. Yeah, is it so? Because our judgment is now divided into front and back judgments. So front and back attacking made it so that it's especially important to capture the back in cases where it's insane. I think that it's good if you could really figure this playing later. Yes. Next is Young Seong, and now the magic casters that had a strong magic string. In the case that we were 2 special features, it was a class that was especially in the same parties because of explosive explosive and have magic, and this time improved a lot in those
그리고
areas.
정령성 같은 경우에는
And in the case of
아이온 2를 개발한다는
when the rumor about
것에 대해서
developing
소문이
Aion
났을 때
2 started
이제 사람들이 좀 가장 많이
spread,
물어봤던 클래스 중에
they're talking about priests.
하나였어요.
One of the classes
정령성
that
진짜
talking most
만들 거냐,
wondering
나올
if
거냐.
would really create it if it would
어렵지
have
않냐
happened.
했는데
Wouldn't that be
저희도
difficult?
정령성이 na오고요.
Or the priests will
당연히
also appear in our
이름 그리고
show.
공명을
I'm not sure what they're talking about here.
정령한테 명령 내리고
Especially
부식 걸고
Spirit
공포감을
Nature, Caster Soul
좀
Combat.
솔로랑
Oh,
전투에
Spirit
특화된
Masters and
정령성의
Sorcerers.
특징을 계승했다고 봐주시면 좋을 것 같습니다.
네, 저는 원작에서는
In the original, I played a magical caster in a bit and
좋아했고
liked it because of its strong dealing power, so I chose it. But when I went to a party, I was busy playing the magic caster. But if we do it every week and someone keeps hitting and hitting again, this time, will there be much a loosening system? Yes.
롤 플레이의 맛이긴 했었죠. 근데
I did drink a bit for that role, but now when those parts made mistakes, there's a bit of an atmosphere blaming each other, but we wanted to ease those areas a bit. I hope you enjoyed the game more, so this time I made it a bit more well maintained so that it doesn't break in one go. In the case of something like Shadow, and made it up and have some fun dealing damage. Mage, talking about Mage. Yes, the healing ability is also called Noble, or Priest, is a multiplayer breathing ability that can be also known. Yes, it's also when both of them are classes, there was also a charge of healing, and they are in the charge of survival, but one is now specialized in survival, and the other is now a class that's based on healing and now has an upper body temperature. Both those characters are now well utilized. Now, especially in the case of healing lines, while others only have to deal damage, healing has to be done while also healing and purifying, so it has quite complicated. We have eased that part a lot with control support elements and have also developed it so that it can now possess strong dealing capabilities. Oh, cool. In the case of Noble, the various roles and styles of the original work are all preserved. It's a wind shuttle anyway. There's a lot of talk about the slave protection, the talk about the staff. Yes, there's also called a hawk's nest. There are so many people who say that the healing is pretty. I think the class I love more because you can heal in front of and also revive. That's right, yes, be resurrected too. So in some ways it has a strong damage, can be used as a wheel, and also can be used for summoning and resurrecting. So it will be one of the strong clutches. As we introduce the class, we think that we'd be very curious at the skills and even more curious. Whether curious with skills, there are also many people who say that it's a skill draw. It's not a skill draw. Yes, every time we do one piece of content, we force everyone to get picked. Yes, we will continue to give you answers here are there. But first of all, regarding the skills, we will prepare a more detailed broadcast in the future where we will organize it into a separate category and show you in detail what skills each class has and how they move. Yes, and this is one thing that those who wrote the original work absolutely could not leave out. We've really created a lot of PvE content. Could you please explain a bit more about PvE content and you are preparing? In the case of original Aion, as I said earlier, race v race is also important. Our identity, of course, again, also prepared a dungeon content worth close to 20 billion won, which is more than the original. Well, there was one-person dungeon, four-person dungeon, eight-person dungeons, and we also made larger dungeons in the future, and we've also created various scale field events. And then for those who want to be able to enjoy the game according to those own style and situation, we also prepare that solo, for those who want to play solo, can enjoy it primarily as a party play as well, especially in party dungeons that require cooperation. We are developing in ways that allow experience in the fun dungeon by playing in a party, while also considering each 8 classes role division strategy rather than simply dealing damage. We are putting a lot of effort and development time into making the dungeon, so you can look forward to it. There is also a question about whether there are raids. Yes, there will be a lot of talk about raids, but now I think that it might be a bit difficult if I'll explain later. There is also a question about whether it will be increase or decrease, but there's a lot of content prepared behind it. Please wait a moment. Mr. Namju, what are your memorable dungeons from the original work?
솔직히 말해서 이게
Aaron, I'm gonna be
PCI
honest.
그렇게
I
성공할지를
didn't know when I
몰랐었어요.
made
근데 이제
PCAP
제가
that it would
봤을
be such
때는 이제 그
success, but
당시에
now that I look at it, I think it
불신이
was because of the
터지면서
stress
아마
at the
많은
time
유저분들이
exploded and
사랑해
many
주셨던
users
것 같은데
loved it.
그래서 저는 이제
So I
불의
think
시절은 좀
that
가장
Simplifier
기억에
is
많이
one of my
남는다고
member
할 수 있을 것 같아요.
the most. Now the
크로메데
weapon of
무기가 이제
Chrome Meat is
의무죠.
also there,
의무를 먹기 위해서 이제 많이 들었었고
and I've been running around a
다만 이제
lot,
그 앞마당
eat the oysters, but
진입할
now
때 우리가
it
이제 적과 만났을 때 그리고 좀 보스 패턴 익히느라 그리고 돌고 또 이제 쇼컷으로 많이 달리는 이제 그런 기억까지 많은
is a place with a lot of memories, such as when entering the front yard, when meeting enemies, and getting close to the boss battle, running around to a lot of shockers. The judge, yes, there was a lot of talk about in the auto comments just now, so please wait a moment. Yes, in the case of distress, I'm talking about it. But when I was going around the adrenal glands, many people would have been around there. So talking about adrenaline, but also a weapon that I absolutely had to and I always get sick of while running. It was also a time that I fell into lava while running and I couldn't get there. There was also even people who stay in the city until the temple was destroyed. Yes, I think it's been around 20 times. I also want to get one. Also exists. Yeah, it was also a question earlier. Yes, we also have it. However, at this time, the direction of the weapon growing was a bit lacking, but we have also applied physics through and create a weapon that grows in a much cooler way. And one more thing, at the time, short-range weapons had the extension weapon applied, but it didn't work for long distance. So we made it so that both can be applied. So long and short distance weapons can get extended. Surprised me that feels stressful. While it might be a lot of memories and curiosity about the fire temple, so we prepared a fire temple. Let's take a look at the Chrome Meat boss that appears. Beautiful.
네, 크로메데가 등장하는
Yeah, you saw the appearance of Chrome Meat. In the original work, I only saw Chrome Meat's back and dealt damage, so I never saw the face. Yeah, that's right. The time response in our corner is very high. The Temple of Fire is not as big as you might think. Now, the Temple of Fire, as I mentioned briefly, was more than just a simple content. Now, if we talk about that, the Nightmare Dungeon was also appeared, so I think it had a big part to do with the success of the original.
그렇기 때문에 저희는 이제
That's why
원작의 중요했던 부분들을 그때 느낌을 감정을 잘 살리면서 발전된 형태가 좀 되기를 바랬었어요.
we wanted to develop the original work into something that was more advanced while preserving the feeling emotion the parts were pouring out the time. Yes, but to go to this dungeon, a party is required, and back then, if I remember correctly, it was a bit difficult to match up in a party. Has that improved a bit more? Oh yes. Well, I'm doing well with other games these days. The party matchmaking system is working well, and we have also made matchmaking a lot easier. Another feature is that we are preparing to match parties based on the entire server, rather than on a server-by-server basis. So I think you won't have much trouble finding parties. You'll also now be able to barge into combative party rooms, and we're putting a lot of thought into making that more convenient. Also, for those who are going to the dungeon for the first time, when they try to join a party, is there something called an interview? There's also some parties where matchmaking isn't working well, and it's also hard. How can this be resolved? Oh, I guess that they want a newbie with experience, but the original, there was something like an interview. There have been many cases where people have been cut off based on career or qualifications, but I wish that kind of thing could decrease in my heart. So this time we've created an easy mode, so the first timers or those who aren't quite ready with their gear won't have trouble matching. That's cool. Easy mode is literally an easy mode, but so that easy mode has a quest that follows along. I'll guide you through it. So by going through the mode once, you can now study on your which route to take, and on which mobs are placed, and what patterns they have, and how to attack. Oh, teaching that. I like that. Possible now that you're saying it's studying, you might think it's just something you do without any reward, but that's not the case. We develop it so that we can provide sufficient compensation to ensure that you can get enough. Also, you find it difficult to play alone, you can play at party mode with your colleagues or friends.
네, 그리고 아까 전부터 올라왔던
Yes, and
글
among the
중에서
articles that have been
평평장
posted before,
선판정에 대한
there has been
내용도
a
좀
lot of
많이
content about the
올라왔었어요.
selection of post judgment.
여기에
네네.
대해서 저희가
Let me explain a
설명
little
좀
bit
드리고
about this and what
어떻게
we
생각하는지
think
저희가
and
어떤
how
방식으로
we
개발했는지
developed
승우님 얘기를 한번 들어보도록
developed
하겠습니다.
it. So let's hear the voice actor
선판정이
has to say.
좋다,
What a
후판정이
good
좋다고
selection. There's
이렇게
after judgment.
아마 보시는
Well, people who are
분들께서 뭐
watching
예전 아이온을
this,
하셨던
those
분들은 뭐
who have played Aion in the
괜찮다고
past
생각하실 수도 있고, 또뭐
might
요즘
think that the
게임들을 많이
shelf
하시는
system is
분들은
okay, and
선판정이
those who
좋다고
have played a lot
하시는데,
of games these days
그래서
think that
저희가
the hand judgment is
원작
not.
때부터
In
뭐
fact, we
선판정을
have
하고 있었는데
been
저희도
selecting
이제
things since the
화살
original, and you may
기억하시겠죠?
remember the
화살을
arrows
이렇게
now, right?
발사하면
When I fired an arrow
저희는
like
옆으로
this, I
피했는데
dodged to the
화살이
side,
이렇게
but the
따라서
arrow
무조건처럼
followed me and hit me
맞거든요.
like a
이런 것들 좀
guided
아쉽긴
missile.
했어요.
I felt a bit
그래서
sorry
이번에는
about
좀
these things, so
습관적인 전투,
time we wanted to make it a bit combative, more intuitive, and a bit more modern looking. So we decided to introduce a post-battle system.
사실 저희가
Actually, the
만들고
battle we
싶었던
wanted to
조건은
create
유연성이 강화된 아이온이었거든요.
was a more action-oriented version of Aion. That's why I want to make combat more intuitive and visible, and as I pursued that kind of combat, I thought that maintaining the existing targeting method was not very suitable. So I developed it in a way that it could emphasize more action, and the game ended up being developed close to the entire post-judgment, not targeting.
그런 전투를 하다 보니까 이제
And as I was fighting the kind of battle, I
수동
realized that I had
전투에
naturally had a
생각했어야
sense of
되고
compromise
타협하고
while
있어야
fighting
되고,
manually.
그리고 또 이제 그런 방향성을 가지고
And since we're
만들다
making it about the
보니까
direction, the
보스도
boss
이제
also
그런 PC의 움직임을 받아줄 수 있는 그런 액션성 넘치는 움직임을 해야 되기 때문에
needs to have action-packed movement that can accept the PC's movement, so we're currently focusing a lot on the
좀
development.
댓글
Yes,
보다
looking at
보니까
the
이
comments,
수동에 대해서 찬성을 하고 좀 좋아하시는 분도
there are many
많고
people who agree with the
단순에
manual
대해서
and I like it, and there are many people who
아니,
are
걱정하시는
worried,
분들, 모바일에서 어떻게
but
하냐
not worried about the
걱정하시는
non-contact
분
target
많아요.
and how to do it on mobile. I think they're talking about the tab target. Please give me an answer in here and then.
그 일단은 수동을 저희가 많이 추구를 해서
We pursued manual operation a lot, so we made it a bit more enjoyable. There is no such thing as automatic. Yes, there's no automatic. There is something that the decision maker master would like to
아,
explain.
이거 사실
There's
이
passing
부분
around.
되게
Yes,
많이
we actually
고민했어요.
thought a lot about
어떤 게
that part.
좋냐.
After much thought about what we can do
여러
good
가지
and what
고민할
not,
텐데 그냥
we
말씀드리면 자동전투 지원하지 않는
decided to just say
걸로
we're gonna
결정을
getting
했고요.
married and not support
그래서
automatic
저희가
combat yet.
아까
Actually,
처음에
yes,
제가
I said at the beginning.
원작
We
아이온의
said we
완전판을
would make a completed
만들겠다고
version
했고,
of original Aion, and we
좀더
wanted to
진보된
make something a bit more
만들겠다고
advanced. So we
했는데
wanted to
그래서 그때
improve
아쉬웠던
on some of the
부분도
parts that were
보강하고
lacking
또
on the time
요즘
at that time,
플레이어들이 좀
and
선호하고
also
좋아하시는 것들을
introduced a
많이
lot of things
선택해서
that players these
어떻게
days prefer
보면은
and like.
계승할
So in a
거
way,
계승하고
we want to
발전할 거
improve and
발전시켜서
develop
하겠다는
what we
게
could from that
말씀드렸잖아요.
point on,
그래서
right?
정말
So
게임을 진짜 재밌게 만들어야겠다는 생각에 이건
thought that I really need to
이건
make
정말
the
재밌게
game really fun,
만들려면
and I thought,
이제
oh, this is really
자동이
fun.
빠져야
To make this
되는구나.
game really
그래서
fun, I need to
이제
get rid of the
자동을
automation,
빼는
so I
걸로
decided to get rid of the
결정했습니다.
automation.
네. 또 댓글을 보다
Also, I
보니까
read that the
자동에 대한
comments,
내용 좋아.
I like the
자동
part
좋아하시는
about
분도
automation.
계신데
There are many people who
일단
like
저희가 앞에서
automatic, but for
말씀드린
now,
것처럼
let's go with
수동의
the fun
재미로
of manual as we
하도록
mentioned
하겠습니다.
earlier.
예,
네.
그 모바일에서도 좀 이제
Even on mobile,
뭐 이렇게 수동으로 어떻게 하냐 모바일에서 이런 글들이 많은데
there are a lot of articles asking how to do this manually on mobile. There are a lot of action games in mobile require manual operation. We are also working hard to make games using those games as reference. We are currently developing it so that you can enjoy it in mobile
네.
without much
또
difficulty.
이제
Also, if you
수동
look at the trend of
논타겟팅에 이어서
games
요즘
being released these days, such a
게임들은
manual
이 출시되는
non-targeting,
트렌드를 보면은 나이트하게 즐길만한 요소들이 많이 있어요.
there are a lot of elements that can enjoy it at night. A game within a game, a mini game within a game, so we have something too. Yes, of course, there is,
MMORPG가 이제 뭐 전투를 되게 많이 한
yes,
게임이라고
as
저희가
you
지금 설명한 거 보시면 알겠지만
can see from what we just explained, MMORPGs now feature a lot of combat, and when you look at it, there's a true of high need for it. So we've
조금 재미있게 약간 좀 긴장감을 좀 낮추고 할 수 있는 다양한 형식의 미니 게임들을
prepared a variety of mini games that you can play in a
네,
fun,
지금
relaxed
화면에서
way.
있지만 이제
And as you can see on the
게임
screen right
안에서
now, we've created a lot of variety so that you
RVR 뭐 이걸 떠나서 미니
can enjoy
게임들을
mini
즐길
games
수
in the
있도록
game beyond just
다양하게
PvE,
많이
PvE, and
만들어놨다고
RVR,
기대가
so you
많이
can
됩니다.
look forward to it.
그리고
And when
탑승을 나왔을
the
때
ride
아까
came
영상에서
out, there were a lot of
많은
comments on the
댓글들이
video.
많았어요. 우려 걱정도 많으셨고요.
There are
이
many
부분에
concern and
대해서 좀
worries. Could you
설명을
explain this to me?
부탁드리겠습니다.
Yes.
네, 아까 저희가 이제 나에게
Earlier,
아니라고 과금 아니라고 이게 설명드렸을 때
when we
그때
explained that
이제
there's no
뭐
longer
패시브다,
wing,
뭐 이런 말씀을 계속 하셨는데
pay to win, or
그
we kept saying that as a
펫이
pet
지금
game and things
보시다시피
like that.
외형들이
As you
다
can see,
이제
the appearance of
게임에
those pets
나오는
are also monsters that
몬스터들이에요.
appear in the
그래서
game.
그
So when
저희는
we
사냥을
go
하다가
hunting
외형을
and
가지고
come
몬스터가
across a
있으면
monster
그
with the
몬스터를
appearance of a
사냥해서
demon, we
영웅을
hunt that
모은
monster,
다음에
collect its soul,
그걸
and then
펫을
we
이제
can
만들 수
use
있는
that to
시스템입니다.
create a pet.
그래서 이렇게 뭐
So I think we don't have to
걱정하지
worry
말고
about
그렇게
anything like
네.
this.
저희가
Since we
방송을
started broadcasting,
시작하면서부터 계속
pets are
저희가
mounts, okay?
중간중간에도 어떤 부분에 설명을 좀 드리기도 했고
When explaining certain
걱정하시는
pets
분들도 좀
here and there,
많으셨고 게임에
and
대해서 궁금해하시는 분들이 많으셨던
I think
것
there were a
같아요.
lot of people who were worried
우선
curious
저희가
about
방송을 시작할 때부터 좀
BM.
말씀을
First of all, we've
드리긴
been
했지만
saying that since we started
지금 이
broadcasting.
현재 완성된 버전의
We're
빌드를 가지고 저희가 소개시켜드리는 건
not
아니고요.
introducing the current
개발 중
completed build. This is a
단계에서
broadcast where we
하나씩
introduce each
하나씩
and every one of the
유저분들에게
development stages to
소개시켜드리고
users
어떻게 발전해
and
나가는지
show how
보여드리고자
they
하는
are
방송입니다.
developing.
그래서
So
앞으로
I
점점점 방송을
will
통해서
explain
설명을
it to you
드릴
through the
거고요.
broadcast from now
그래서
on.
BM 같은
So in
경우는
the
지금
case
개발
of
중인 단계이기 때문에
BM, since
현재
it's
지금
currently in the
BM이
development
빌드 안에
stage,
들어가 있지가
BM is not
않습니다.
currently included in the build.
보통 BM을
Usually when
제작할 때
introducing a
데이터가 어느
BM,
정도 정리가
the
다
data is
되고
organized to a certain
후반부에
extent
들어갈 수
and can be
있는데
entered into the latter half.
그래서 지금 뭔가 BM에
That's
대해서
why
아까 전에
I
말씀드렸던 부분들이 이미 결정이 된 상황이기 때문에 먼저
mentioned it in the
말씀을
first
드렸고요.
half of the parts. I mentioned
그리고
earlier regarding
앞으로도
BM has
저희가
already
어떤
been
방향을
decided.
하고
And that's why we
있는지
can tell you for sure
확실하게
about the direction we are
말씀드릴 수
taking in the
있는
future is that
지금 현재 우려하고 걱정하고 계시는 BM을 추구하지 않도록 하는 점을
we
저희가 생각하고
are thinking and keeping
균형하면서 좀
in mind that we
만들고
will
있습니다.
not pursue the BM that you're currently worried
네.
about and
그-
concerned
그-
about. I think there are
네.
BMs like the pay to win.
내용들은 아마 런칭 전에 한번 저희가
We will
반드시
definitely tell
말씀드릴
you
수
about
있도록
such
할
things
테니까요.
before launching
조금만
it.
기다려 주세요.
Please wait a moment.
네, 말씀드린 것처럼
As I said,
저희가
we
BM은
at
한 번 더 이것도 꼭지를 가지고서
we're,
소개를 시켜드릴 수 있는 자리를
BM
만들도록
will create an
하겠습니다.
opportunity to use that one, this once again. And
모바일
there were a
제작,
lot of
모바일,
comments asking if it was a
그리고
mobile
자꾸
production,
모바일이냐라는
mobile and PC when they kept
라는
asking if it was
댓글도 굉장히
mobile.
많았어요.
So
그래서
I would
모바일에
also
대한
like to
방향성도
ask you to explain the
설명을 좀
direction for
부탁드리도록
mobile.
하겠습니다.
네, 그 보통
Those are usually called multi-platform
게임이라고
games.
하죠. 그런
While these
게임들은
days,
모바일
most of these
버전을
games
먼저
are made in
제작을
mobile
하고
version
이제
first
그거를
and then
PC로
ported
이식하는 경우들이 좀
to
대부분이고요.
PC.
또 그렇게 PC로 올렸을 때
Also,
좀
when
해상도
uploading to
같은 게
PC, we
있어가지고
only increase
UI도
resolution a
줄이고
bit
이렇게
and
개발을
reduce the
많이
UI a
하는데
bit, and a lot of
저희는
development
그
is done
퀄리티를
like this.
만들기
But in order to create a
위해서
higher
PC에서
quality,
먼저
we are
개발을
developing on
하고
PC
이걸
first
이제
and
모바일
then
쪽으로
porting it to a
이식하는
mobile.
방식을
That's very good.
택하고 있습니다. 그래서 일단은
So
기본적으로
for
PC
now,
버전의
we
게임을 다
basically created the PC
만들어놓고
version of the game and are now developing it into
지원하는
support mobile.
식으로 개발을 하고 있기 때문에
So I
PC
think
게임을
you'll
모바일에서
feel
하는
like we're
게
playing on a
좋을 것
PC
같아요.
on mobile. Yes, in the
그
process
과정에서
we've
지금
gone
많은
through,
테스트를
you're going
거쳤고,
through and
거치고
we'll
있고,
go
거칠
through many
것이고요.
tests.
단순히
As you mentioned
아까
earlier,
말씀하셨듯이
we
PC
are
UI를 그냥 모바일에
not simply
옮기는 건
transferring
아니고
the
또
PC
PC
UI
와
to mobile,
모바일,
we're
그러니까
also
EX
making the
UI를 별도로
UI and the
제작해서
PC and mobile
말씀드렸던
separately.
뭐
As I mentioned,
소모인데
it's
또
a
그러면
manual
불편한
and
부분 이런 것도
inconvenient,
최대한
so we are putting a
고민해가지고
lot of
그
thought
저희가
into it
열심히
and
노력하고 있어요.
working hard on it.
저희가 앞에서
If
설명드린
we
것부터
organize what we
현재까지 좀
explain
정리를 좀
above,
해보자면은
the
지형이
terrain
저희가 천족이랑 마족이랑
is
따로따로 되어 있는 두 벌에
made in
만들어져
two
있고요.
completely separate sets of facing each other. Yes, that's right. There are two sets of UIs, one for PC and one for mobile. So if we were all up, add it all up, we're how many games are you adding at making? Plus now there's the Abyss, there's also the Abyss. I see, the Abyss is where it exists. There's also the connection too. So a lot of developers are working on it.
그래서 아마 이제
So
서버당 종족이 하나이기 때문에
since there is now only one race per server, those who want to try out different race can create a character on another server and enjoy it. That's cool. I'm curious, since these servers are different, I also want to hear, is there a time and space system? Is there no construction? Is there a lot of content about to do construction when the servers are different? Yes, we now manage to maintain the fun of the small groups of people crossing over to the opposing race. If we moved on like that, we did the Shanghai test. There were a lot of fights near the main base, and we had a lot of fun PvPing. So I think a lot of people will be able to enjoy the part when it launches. First, we gave a brief explanation of what we have prepared, and we would like to share some more special news with you. But for those who will be waiting for Aion 2, we would like to provide a place where you can experience the game before its official release. It will be held at the NC Pangyo R&D Center on June 29th, Sunday, June 29th. We will briefly introduce the recruitment schedule and participation method through a video.
아이온 2 첫 번째 비행의 주인공이 되다. FGT 초대 이벤트 안내. 아이온 2를 가장 빠르게 만나볼 수 있는 기회. FGT 초대 이벤트 신청은 아이온 투나잇 방송 종료 후 시작됩니다. 영상 하단의 신청서를 클릭하고 간단한 설문을 작성하면 신청 완료. 공식 홈페이지를 통해 FGT 초대 이벤트에 당첨되신 분들을 발표하고 개별 연락을 드릴 예정입니다. 자세한 내용은 아이온2 공식 홈페이지에서 확인하실 수 있습니다. 대바 여러분들의 많은 관심과 참여 부탁드립니다.
네, 저희가
You asked for the great interest and participation. Yes, we ask for your active participation and application. So we are prepared. So when applying, please keep in mind that I hope that you try out a lot of the content. So we're going to prepare ourselves to be able to play all day long. So for those who come, we will provide lunch and dinner, and you will be able to play for about 8 hours and see what Aion 2 is and how it was made. That's cool. You can check more detailed information about the repository and official Aion 2. We have asked for active participation. Not only that, me, but we are also definitely be there that day and talk to us and give us a lot of feedback. I would appreciate your interest and support. Jiangwoo, yes, you. Are you coming? Yes, of course. I should attend to. I was about to say that I was bringing in developers, but Namjung did it first. So yes. In addition to this, many of you have been curious about the large-scale race v race battle concept between the Celestials and Demons, and since race v race is the original was so much fun, many of you have been curious about the field battles, content, skills, and classes. We plan to continue this in the future broadcast, so we will prepare to show you more details on the content we have prepared, one by one. So after today's broadcast, you can see the main content that we revealed today, again on our brand website, so I would like to ask you to visit us often, and since we will continue broadcasting in the future, please subscribe and set up alarms so that we can send out notices before broadcast. So please subscribe and set notifications and things like that. So this concludes our first broadcast for Aion 2 that we prepared for today. I'm so excited to be able to introduce Aion 2 to all today, and I'm also happy. How is everyone? Yes, I'm grateful to be able to present you a project that I had been working on through this podcast. Actually, I have to look at the camera during this podcast, but I can't look at the camera because I'm reading your comments. I think it's really admirable when videos do this. How about you, Namjoon? Oh, I'm in the middle, so I'm on the side now and can't look at the camera anymore. But for now, thank you so much for leaving so many comments and coming in so many times. We will really work hard to make it good games so that we can become a leader. Yes, thank you. Yes, there were a lot of questions about the release date. We will continue to provide an opportunity to announce the official launch date through broadcast. Mr. Sung, please tell us more. In the remaining time until the discussion, we will work hard to repay you with more complete game based on the feedback and reactions you've given us. And then when I talk about the comments, people ask if it's a showcase, but it's not a showcase. Today is the first broadcast, and what we did today is just the basics, and we will be broadcasting on various other topics in the future. So please tell me in more detail. Yes. Let me say this again. This is not a showcase, but rather a broadcast where we will first show how Aion 2 is being made and with the theme. So this is okay. In the future broadcast, we will discuss and show each major point in detail and how we express what we prepared and what we thought about when developing it. Our Aion 2 journey has just begun. This is not the end. As I have said before, I will come back to you in the next broadcast with more in-depth information and things you are more curious about. Thank you for subscribing and for being with us for such a long time. Thank you.